Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some techniques that you're going to want to use in your argumentation, irrespective and regardless of what form that may take. So while I'm going to be sharing with you these techniques and the way they sort of look and manifest in an essay, you of course don't have to write an essay. So you're going to sort of just want to extrapolate out and be able to sort of apply this learning to whatever form, again, that argumentation might take for you. Now, of course, some mini lessons that I share with you are sort of sequenced. So it says like step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's kind of an order of what you want to do. This is not that. So when you look at this document titled Argument Writers Use Techniques Such As, there are 12 things that you might do, that you may do, that you can do because they are available to you, but you don't have to do. Now you get to sort of just pick and choose out of this. Now I'm going to show you what some of these look like in terms of this essay over here to my left, which is Education and the Decline of U.S. Hegemony in the 21st Century by Kaz Nihok, of course a famed thinker and author in the 21st century. So Kaz Nihok's essay here is about U.S. hegemony, and hegemony is a word for like, in this case, like dominance, but like singular dominance. So think about like, the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s. So in this essay, Kaz Nihok used various different techniques that you may also want to use in your argumentation. So again, guys, we're going to go through some of these. We are not going to go through all of them. But of course, if you have any questions about any of them or you want to give any of them a try, feel free to Google it or come in conference with me over at Pod 2, and we can have a little bit of a conversation so that you can kind of give that old try to see if you want to do something. So let's start off just kind of with the top of the essay. So we'll kind of work on the left side, and then we'll kind of show you what I'm doing here on the right side. So Kaz Nihok opens his essay with a quotation from a historian, author, and sort of just general philosopher named Noam Chomsky. Now, in doing so, Kaz Nihok here has done something that we find over here, which is Kaz Nihok has brought in expert opinions and quotes. Noam Chomsky is an expert in U.S. history, and so Kaz Nihok has opened the essay by quoting Noam Chomsky. That's an example of bringing in expert opinions and quotes. The next thing we're going to see is going to kind of hinge on this word however, right? That conjunction right there. And the idea of it being a conjunction is actually kind of important. I'll explain why in a second. This, and I'll read it to you, is a great example of being deliberate about tone or changes in tone. So this is especially an example of being deliberate about a change in tone. Let me share with you how. I'm going to start reading from the sentence prior. Thanks in large part to victories in World War I, World War II, and the Cold War, in addition to the booms in technology and innovation that came with them, the United States was able to promote its ideological and economic agendas on a global scale. However, boom, right, it kind of hits. It's a clear change in tone. However, since the onset of the 21st century, the foundation of the U.S.'s global power and educated and innovative citizenry has begun to wane. So you can see right there that kind of contingent and hinged on that one word, specifically that one conjunction, the tone changes. So you could probably think of a word like but doing the exact same thing and having that exact same effect, something for you guys to think about. Next up, guys, we're going to go to the purple. The purple, it says, according to the Program for International Student Assessment, PISA, which measures the academic achievement of 64 countries annually. This is a great example of defining key terms and including technical vocabulary or terminology. It's no help for you to just say PISA. No one knows what that is. What does help is when you provide a quick little definition of that key term. So when you say PISA, you then say which measures the academic achievement, etc., explaining what it is so that you are bringing the audience along in your thinking. Next up, guys, we're going to the next paragraph, and that's going to start here. Inventions such as the internet, cellular communication, and the rocket ship. This, very simply, is given examples to illustrate their point. A key and important technique. If Kazniak just written inventions, that's like, what? No, that's super broad, and who knows if you even have examples to support that. Instead, Kazniak here includes examples like the internet, cellular communication, and the rocket ship. Notice how these are not text features, really. They're just examples. Next up, right here. Okay. There we go. As evidenced by the data from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, state education budgets have declined on average by 11.5% since 2000. This, guys, here as well is an example of giving examples to illustrate their point. We went back to back here, I think, in part, or Kazniak did, I should say, in part, really emphasize the importance of this technique. We're not really going to be anywhere or go anywhere or be particularly successful in argumentation if we're not given examples. Next up, we're going to focus here with this idea of education and this idea of innovation. Now, what you're going to see in the course of this paragraph, if you just kind of want to read it over, is that Kazniak talks about education as really being foundational to American innovation. In other words, education is an idea that is connected and tied to innovation. In doing so, Kazniak has made comparisons or connections, specifically connections in this way. So what you can see sort of in the scale here is Kazniak in his essay has equated education with innovation. So in order for Kazniak's argument to make sense, this had to be done. This is a great little device to use. Next up, we move on to this third paragraph. Now, this third paragraph is something that is entirely highlighted, and the reason is I've highlighted it to draw attention to something, a technique that you should be using constantly and throughout your essay or presentation or display, and that's this: varying sentence rhythms. That's also kind of that part of the 6 traits of writing called sentence fluency, balancing simple, complex, compound, all of that. So that third paragraph there gives a pretty good example of what that might look like. And let's move on to that fourth and final paragraph. And you're going to see here, I've highlighted in Kazniak's essay, decline of U.S. hegemony in the 21st century. Now, this right here brings us kind of right to the top, which is this: repeating key terms or phrases. Right? This is something that Kazniak has written countless times in the course of the essay. If you are, or I should say, in your argumentation, you are going to want to reiterate and re-emphasize those key terms or phrases. Really make sure you hit them hard and you hit them often. A couple things here. You're going to see that Kazniak at no point used personal stories or anecdotes. Think about this essay. It wouldn't really make a bunch of sense. And frankly, guys, it's probably not going to make sense for you to use either, given the nature of the essay, or whatever I should say, the topic that we're writing about, the question that we're trying to answer. You're also going to notice Kazniak never addressed readers or listeners directly. Again, that's a great technique if you are looking to stir empathy, or if you are looking to move your reader to action. That's something you're going to learn about in the next video. So you might want to use this, right? Sort of break in that fourth wall. It's not something that Kazniak did. That goes along with asking questions. You could also ask a question in order to stir empathy and to sort of connect and move that reader to action. It's not something that Kazniak did, but it is something you can do. Additionally, you're going to see incorporating humor when appropriate was something that was not done. This is not a particularly humorous essay. I would also argue yours probably isn't a particularly humorous essay, so I'm going to ask that maybe you guys try to sort of avoid this one. And then parallelism. This is a writing device that we can get into in person, so if you want to learn more about parallelism, I'll share it with you and explain it with you at greater depth and at greater length over at Pod 2 when you swing by the conference. For now, guys, these are 12 techniques that you should all be looking to incorporate into your argumentation. Thanks, guys.